Me, 29, a high school history teacher, the kind who gets tagged in most inspiring educator posts. I run the Social Justice Club. I'm loud at school board meetings about equity. I've given 2 TEDx talks, small ones, about dismantling the hidden curriculum of home structure. My entire identity is being the good one, the woke one, the one who calls people out. My dad, Frank, is 62. He's been a sheriff deputy for 35 years. Small town law enforcement. Never made a dime off of it. Just did the job because his dad did it. We've been estranged for about 4 years. Not officially. I just stopped calling. Stopped texting back. Stopped going home for Thanksgiving the year he showed up in his uniform, and I asked him, in front of everyone, how he sleeps at night knowing he's a part of a system that murders black people. He didn't yell. He just put his fork down. Said, I've never hurt anyone who didn't need hurting, Sam. I've talked more kids out of suicide than you've had hot dinners. I'm not the enemy. I laughed. Actually laughed. That's propaganda. Dad, you've internalized the propaganda. My mom changed the subject. My little brother stared at his plate. I felt powerful. That was the last real conversation we had. I get the call on a Tuesday during my prep period. It's my mom. She never calls me during school hours. I almost let it go to voicemail because I'm finalizing a guest lecture on radicalized policing. But something makes me pick up. Sam, she says, her voice is strange. Your dad had an accident. My first thought, he probably caused it, speeding to a call. Reckless. I hate that I thought that, but I don't say it. He's alive, she says, but he's in the ICU. He drove his patrol car into a concrete barrier on purpose. I don't understand. What do you mean, on purpose? Witnesses said he didn't brake. No swerve, just aimed for the pillar at 70 miles an hour. They're saying it was a suicide attempt. The word suicide doesn't fit. Dad is the steady one, the one who fixed my bike, the one who taught me how to drive stick shift, the one who held my hair back when I got food poisoning at 16 and never once made fun of me for it. He's not someone who tries to kill himself. That's for broken people. That's for victims of the system. Not my father. My mom is crying now. He left a note on his phone, addressed to you. I drive 6 hours to the hospital. Don't listen to podcasts. I don't call anyone. I just drive. Dad is in a medically induced coma. Broken ribs, fractured pelvis, swelling on the brain. They don't know if he'll walk again. My mom hands me a printed copy of the note. She found it on his phone, which the hospital gave her in a plastic bag with his bloody uniform. I read it in the waiting room. The fluorescent lights are buzzing. Sam, if you're reading this, I probably succeeded. Don't feel bad. You've been telling me for years that I'm a bad person. I finally believed you. I kept a list of every time you called me a fascist, every time you said I was part of the problem, every time you laughed at me in front of your friends. I don't know why I kept it. Maybe to prove you wrong, but I couldn't. You're smarter than me. You have all the right words. The night you walked out of Thanksgiving, I sat in my car for 2 hours in your apartment parking lot. I was going to knock. I had a 6-pack of the IPA you like, but I heard you laughing inside with your friends. You said, my dad is literally a cop. A cop. Can you believe that? I came from that. I drove home and didn't tell anyone. Not your mom, not your brother. I just went back to work the next day. Pulled a family out of a house fire. Held a woman's hand when she died of a heart attack while in a gas station parking lot. Thought about what you said. Wonder if you'd still call me a fascist if you seen that. I'm not writing this to blame you. I'm writing this because I need someone to know I tried. I tried to be good. I tried to help people. I tried to be your father. But you made it clear that what I do doesn't count. That who I am is wrong. That there's no room for someone like me in your world. So I'm leaving. Not because I'm weak, because I'm tired. Tired of being the villain in your story. I still love you and I don't know why, but I do. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then I throw up in a hospital trash can. My mom finds me on my knees. She doesn't help me up. She just stands there. You did this, she says, not angry, just factual, not alone. But you were the hammer that broke him. I start to say, that's not fair. He had depression. He had childhood stuff. The job is stressful. You can't blame me. She cuts me off. Don't you dare hide behind theory right now. I watched you tear that man apart for years. Every phone call, every holiday. You didn't disagree with him. You dismantled him. And you smiled while you did it because you thought you were on the right side of history. I'm sobbing. Ugly, snotty sobs. I didn't know he was hurting. He never said because every time he opened his mouth, you told him his feelings were problematic, that it's decades of trauma or white male fragility. You trained him not to speak. Sam, and then you blamed him for being silent. Dad wakes up 5 days later. I'm in the room. He looks at me. For 1 second, I see something soft. Then it goes away, replaced by something I've never seen in his eyes before. Fear. Of me. You shouldn't be here, he says. His voice is shredded from the breathing tube. I'm sorry, Dad. It's the smallest, weakest sentence I've ever spoken. He closes his eyes. I've heard that before. From you. Sorry you feel that way. Sorry you're so defensive. Sorry the truth hurts. You're sorry I almost died. You're not sorry for what you did. I can't argue because he's right. My mom asked me to leave. I stand in the hallway and watch through the window as she holds his hand. He lets her. He wouldn't let me touch him. I drive back to my city. I go back to my apartment. I look at my bookshelf, White Fragility, How to Be Anti-Racist, The End of Policing. All these books I've underlined and tabbed and used to build my moral superiority. I think about Dad's note. He made it very clear that what I do doesn't count. I think about the time he called me after a bad shift. A toddler had been left in a hot car. He was the first on scene. He performed CPR for 20 minutes. The kid didn't make it. Dad was crying on the phone. And I said, maybe you spent more time policing poor neighborhoods, you'd have time for a real emergency response. He went quiet. Then he said, I'm going to go now, sweetheart. And he hung up. That was 2.5 years ago. He never called me crying again. I start seeing a therapist, not the kind of therapist I recommend to my students, the Instagram infographic, a real one, an old guy named Howard who doesn't care about my politics. First session, I tell him about Dad, about the note, about the books on myself. Howard leans back. So you're a bully with the vocabulary. I flinch. That's harsh. Is it? You used high-minded language to destroy someone who loved you. You called it accountability. He called it emotional abuse. Which label matters more? I don't have an answer. He says, you can be right about systems and wrong about people. Systems don't have feelings. Your father does. You traded the messiness of a loving, flawed human being for the cleanliness of being correct. And now he nearly died, and he's afraid of you. Was it worth it? I write Dad a letter. Not an explanation, not a defense, just an apology, real this time. Dad, I was wrong. Not about the system, about you. I took every failure of an institution and laid it on your feet. You weren't the problem. You were just a person trying to do a hard job, and I made it harder. I made you feel like your life didn't matter because your badge offended me. That's not justice, that's cruelty. I remember you teaching me how to ride a bike. You ran behind me for an entire afternoon. You never let go until I was ready. I remember you driving 6 hours serving me soup in college when I had the flu. I remember when you crying at my high school graduation. You, the tough cop. Crying because I got a scholarship. I forgot all of that. I replaced it with the caricature. A villain, because it was easier to hate a symbol than love a complicated man. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to stay alive while I try to become someone who deserves to be your daughter again. I love you. I'm sorry that it took almost losing you to remember that. Sam. He doesn't respond for another 3 weeks. Then I get a text. Got the letter. I'm not ready to see you, but I'm glad you're in therapy. Keep going, Dad. It's not forgiveness, it's a crack in the door. I'll take it. It's been a year. Dad is walking again. Limps a little. Can't go back to patrol. Retired on medical. He's seeing a therapist too. We talk on the phone once a month. Short calls, but he doesn't hang up. I don't run the social justice club anymore. Just teach history. I still believe in equity. Still go to board meetings, but I don't call people out. I call them in. I ask questions instead of making speeches. I listen more than I lecture. Last week, Dad sent me a photo, him and my mom at dinner. He's smiling, real smile, not the type one he used to do around me. I saved the photo, then went through my old phone. Found the text I sent him over the years. You're part of the pop room. You're why people die. You're a disgrace. I'm ashamed to be your daughter. I read every single one. Then I deleted them. Then I cried for an hour. The lesson I learned is that systems don't matter. They do. The lesson is that people matter more. And you cannot love a system. You cannot hold a system's hand while it cries. You cannot destroy a system by destroying the people inside of it and who are just trying to survive. I thought I was fighting for a better world. I was just fighting, and my father was a casualty. Dad still doesn't fully trust me. He might never. And that's my consequence. But he's alive, and he knows I love him. Not the idea of him, not the symbol of him. Not the idea of him, not the symbol of him. Him. The man who pulled people out of burning cars. The man who cried over dead toddlers. The man who taught me how to ride a bike. The man I almost lost because I was so sure I was right. I was so sure I was right.